Now on January 20th, most of us happily celebrated our amazing political revolution of 2008. And we did play a significant role in this victory that got Barack Obama into the White House. We played an enormous role in writing the agenda that he took to the American public. But clearly, this crowd knows that that wasn't the end, that this is the time to get to work. And that's why all of you are here all day today. And before we go congratulating ourselves too much, I want to remind you all that the first conference like this, right immediately after the election, they didn't wait until the inauguration, was an incredible conference pulled together by the Center for Community Change, the PICO and Gamaliel networks of community organizers who came in from all over the country to greet their community organizer president, Barack Obama, and welcome him to Washington. So we have a lot of people who are fired up and ready to go for this next period of social change. So I want to thank you all on behalf of all of our partner organizations. I want to thank all of our funder organizations. But I want to remind you that we always thought of this as the beginning of a process, the start of several overlapping education projects and campaigns for moving our country forward, for building a movement. So you will hear from us, you will get more emails. And I'm hoping that you'll respond as well as you did to that one little email just before the inauguration. In the face of the worst economic crisis in our lifetime, we are all pushing a strong economic recovery plan. We want the Congress to improve and pass it quickly, and it turns out that today they did. They announced a deal which is smaller than the Senate version, $790 billion, but it's smaller mainly because they cut out a lot of the tax cuts that were in it. Now, we may be a little more critical on reflection about it, but the first reports are that more school aid, more state aid at about $444 billion. They're cut down the Making Work Pay tax cut and the home buyer tax credit. And overall now, about 35% of the total is now in tax cuts as opposed to 40 when they started. Higher subsidies for COBRA, no improvement in Medicare coverage, Medicaid coverage, and more generous tax credits for children. The alternative minimum tax cut for the wealthy is still in there. So we've got to remind ourselves that we played an important role in making sure that that economic recovery package, something that's of a magnitude that hasn't been considered in American history really, was successfully sold to the American people and sold to the Congress. But after today, we also share a longer-term vision for sustained expansion of public investment. Infrastructure, green jobs, housing. We're committed to investing in people, in kids, in healthcare, in the families and the workforce of caregivers and social workers who make our society go. We're fighting for a high-wage America, starting with the minimum wage and the passage of the Employee Free Choice Act. And we're building a nationwide citizen movement for change that can defeat the conservative plan for slashing Social Security and Medicare to pay for more tax cuts for the wealthy. That's their plan for the future. We're building a forward-looking movement that can transform our economy and create a positive future for the next generation. And each one of our sponsoring groups is committed to work with you in the weeks and months to come. We'll be inviting you to future meetings. We'll be sharing intellectual and policy work. We'll be talking about banking and the financial crisis, families and housing, and high-wage America. And we will enlist you in building a virtual network of experts around the country, like Theta, like the others here on this panel, who can weigh in and shape these debates as we did early on to shape the economic recovery plan and the Obama healthcare plan. And we will work, as others have said, with networks already functioning for healthcare, for workers' rights and the right to join a union, the Apollo Alliance, and green jobs. And we especially promise to go out of here to make the case for the right to join a union here in America. Now, most of you know the big conference that used to be known as Take Back America. This year we've changed the name to America's Future Now. And we invite you to join us June 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, a little more than 100 days after the inauguration of President Obama. We will take a look at what we've accomplished. We will engage a whole lot more outside groups that don't function here in Washington, but are the lifeblood of the progressive movement that we're going to depend upon to make President Obama successful. So we invite you all to come with us to America's Future Now to discuss how all of our organizations can work together to make sure that we move our country forward.